never dog days. Never dog days. It's awesome to be here. Our guys have a great outlook, really tough group, tough-minded group. It's just another opportunity to get better, and we just take one day at a time, one practice at a time, one rep at a time.
That's defensive coordinator Ryan Nielsen, and like many of you, he's excited to have football back in his life. Here's a live look at Jaguars training camp taking place right now outside the Miller Electric Center. We're going to give you a live look throughout the day as we talk about what's been going down this week so far in training camp as we're midway through Week 3. Welcome into Jags Am this morning. I'm Kainani Stevens. Brian Sexton and John Oehser are with me as we get ready. Just a couple of days away from our first preseason game, so we're getting very excited for that. But let's start off with our big things today. Big thing number one is the injury bug. Last week we saw some key injuries on this team and a lot of injuries to different position groups as well. Brian, we saw a couple of injuries to the offensive line and elsewhere on the team on defense. Anything concerning you right now?
This might seem esoteric, but yeah, Cooper Hodges, right? I mean, they need young interior players on that offensive line. You've got age with Mitch Morse and with Brandon Sheriff, and he's a guy for whom there are high expectations. You had the knee that cost him all of last season, and now the back has slowed him down in camp. I want to see Cooper Hodges because at some point, just looking at the law of averages, John, they're going to need a young interior offensive lineman out there on the field.
Yeah, you would like that. He's come back a little bit working individual. You would like that not to be long term so he can develop this year. I guess the thing with injuries for me, I'm glad for the Jaguars' sake that they're not involving Mitch Morse, Brandon Sheriff, some of the older guys. You don't want to see them get hurt and sort of caught in that cycle. I guess the one I'm worried most about is Dewey. I mean, it's Andrew Wingard, as silly as it would have seemed maybe 3 years ago when special teams guy was sort of his role. He matters on defense as a role player, as a guy who's a leader out there, and he really matters on special teams. I don't want my guy Dewey out very long.
He's the best special teams player on this team, and when you don't have that guy, it hurts.
Certainly does. Captain last year as well. Plays a big role on the defense. We'll go to big thing number 2 today. That's going to be game speed. We're talking about the Chiefs coming to town on Saturday. We'll get more into that tomorrow, but that's the first preseason game getting up to game speed. We've been seeing them amp up their practicing a little bit, John, as they try to get ready for that first preseason game. But can you ever really get up to speed until you finally play?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that you can get up to speed. I think that's what the game's for, is there's a transition. There's OTAs, which, and then there's a training camp when you start hitting a little bit. There needs to be that transition to the regular season. The preseason won't match the regular season opener, but it gets you one more step closer, and they'll play quarter and a half, the starters. That gets the blood pumping a little bit and gets you a little more ready for that, Brian.
I kind of think it's kind of like this show. When we started doing the show a couple weeks back, after taking a couple weeks off, it kind of felt start and stop.
It was pretty good.
We hadn't done it for a while, well, notwithstanding that. But you get my point. It's about getting back into the rhythm of it to understand it. What the guy next to you is doing, what the play design is, all of that kind of stuff. They'll get to it.
Let's do our final big thing today. It's dog days. Now, Ryan Nielsen off the top, he said he doesn't believe in the dog days. I'll politely disagree on that one. But are we there yet, Brian? I mean, we're about 2.5 weeks in. We've had some hot practices. What can you learn about your team during the dog days?
Is this over yet?
Not quite.
What can you learn? Listen, it's about the mental side of the game at that point, because the guys who can dial in their focus, who can find their frequency right there and then and stay with it, those are the guys that end up making this team or building a career in the NFL. The long days, consecutive days, the grind of it, if it's still a grind compared to what camp used to be. But there is some grind to it. That requires you to really be purposeful about what you're doing and when you're doing it.
Yeah, the old man in me will tell you there are no dog days in camp right now compared to what it was. But it's not what it was, it's what it is. To me, the dog days were this last weekend when you go 4 in a row. Doug Peterson talked about it. For the young guys, there's a little bit of a wall right now they have to fight through. And I forget which day he talked about it, but he was pretty good on it and said, look, the young guys have to learn right now to fight through this, still find a way to produce, still find a way to keep learning even though you're tired. He talked about in that process is where these guys learn how to be pros. So for what they can push them with no two-a-days anymore, These very much are the dog days. It felt like that over the weekend, and now there's no more 4 straight day practices. It's 2 right now, and you have a game. So the dog days, as it were, are over, but they did push through.
Push right through. Stay with us here on Jags AM. We're prepared to do some hot takes, and we're going to talk about that preseason game coming up on Saturday.
Navigating the current housing market and figuring out your best move when it comes to a mortgage isn't your full-time job, but it's one of the biggest decisions you'll ever make. That's where the experts at Jet Home Loans get into the game and coach you to your ultimate goal of getting not just the right loan, but the perfect loan for you, the home of your dreams. Jet Home Loans works with you all the way, from application to closing, making sure your game plan is perfect. Make the call to Jet Home Loans and let their team join your team to make your dreams take flight. Visit jethl.com.
Calling all junior fire chiefs. Parents, register for your child to win the ultimate Jaguars game day experience. Sponsored by Firehouse Subs. Cheering on the Jags from the Firehouse Subs fire truck at Everbank Stadium, flashing the fire truck lights when the Jags score. As honorary junior fire chief of the game, your child will receive a Firehouse Subs gift, and the whole family will receive 4 tickets and a parking pass to a home game this season. Visit Jaguars.com/sweepstakes to enter to win today. See website for terms and conditions. We're excited to announce a special activation at select training camps. Join us as we celebrate the Corner at Deb Store, coming soon to the Eastside community. Operated by Goodwill Industries of North Florida, the Deb Store will help change lives in the historic Out East through fresh foods, education, and career opportunities. In partnership with various community partners, this project will create a space where residents can thrive. Watch out for the Deb Store van at select training camps this July and August, where you can enjoy free samples and learn how to support this initiative.
To aim higher, run faster. It's what elite athletes do. Always strive for better. At UF Health, we have that same DNA. To not just treat a stroke, but to create a fleet of mobile stroke treatment units. To not just do research, but to use AI to save lives with one of the most powerful supercomputers in academia. We believe, like athletes, that human progress has no finish line. UF Health, National Medical Center for Team USA.
Are you ready for a taste bud touchdown? Well, Jags fans, if you're at the bank and craving a snack that's shell-shockingly good, look no further than Luray Peanut Company's boiled peanuts. Picture this, you in the stands, cheering on your Jaguars, and in one hand, a bag of piping hot boiled peanuts. With original or Cajun to choose from, they're so delicious, you'll wonder where they've been all your life. So grab them while they're hot and get back to the game. And as always, Duval. Luray boiled peanuts, where every nut is a winner.
With the first pick in the 2024 draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Duck Duck Rooter, the #1 plumbing, septic, and underground utility contractor in Florida.
Congratulations, Duck Duck Rooter. So tell us, how does it feel to be picked #1?
Duck Duck Rooter is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. When you need help with any plumbing or septic issue, just give us a call and relax. We'll send one of our first-round draft picks to get the job done right. DuckDuckRooter.com. That's DuckDuckRooter.com.
Welcome back to Jags AM. You can see Fields First, Jacksonville's premier luxury auto group. Go to fieldsauto.com. Also, for 11 years, Dreamfinders Homes have been proud to call themselves the official home builders of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit dreamfindershomes.com for all of the available inventory, and go Jags. A live look right now at practice as Trevor Lawrence trying to get everybody organized early on. This is going to be a shorter practice today, so imagine we'll get into team drills in a little bit, but things are looking good. We'll see him. I think head coach Doug Peterson said we'll see the first teamers for about 1 or 2 drives, depending on how they go. I think that's kind of the MO that he usually goes with. So we'll be good to see the starters out there for a little bit.
Yeah, you need to see the offensive line, especially if Cam and Ezra are going to be back and playing. You need to develop that timing, that rhythm, that cohesion, especially with a new starting center in the middle of it. You need time in the preseason because they're not going to play against the Buccaneers, and then they'll get back in against the Falcons. So you want to make sure you get the most time available to them.
Yeah, that's been Doug's MO for people who didn't really catch earlier in camp. If they practice against a team early in the week, then he doesn't play the starters in the game. So that's what the Tampa Bay situation will be. And then against Atlanta and against the Chiefs, he'll play the starters. So Again, about a quarter and a half, I would think. In terms of the offensive line, Brian, yes, they need to get reps. The reality is the way the league is set up now, Mitch Morse talked about it. I'm not sure the offensive line ever has a legitimate chance for real cohesion until the regular season starts anymore. They've got to get what you're talking about. They've got to get a glimpse of it. But it's so hard to get any sort of hitting because they're so scared of injuries, correctly so. It's not – the coaches are doing the right thing. But it's not until week 4 or 5 where they really feel cohesion, I don't think.
Listen, they might not need it. You're probably right. I need to see it.
No, they need it,
Yeah.
but it's even hard to judge because you're only seeing them for 2 series. It's an amazing thing to think about these guys. It's so important, and yet the circumstance of the league dictate that it's really hard to prepare.
On Monday, they were indoors because of the rain, obviously. But it didn't look like the offensive line had anything going for it. It was at a disadvantage all day. They were having a bad day. I don't know what it is. But I left that practice saying these guys really need time together.
They do, and the injury bug has been hurting them as well, as we mentioned. I'll talk a little bit about that in my hot take later, but let's do some this or that right now. We're going to play the Chiefs on Saturday, right? So is this a big deal or not? It's the preseason, but you're going up against the Super Bowl champs. Whether we'll see a ton of their starters, we don't know about that just yet, but Brian, is it a big deal or is it not a big deal?
Well, here's why it's a big deal to me. Because, and John, you know this, there are good teams that do everything well, right? They practice well, they travel well, they eat well. I mean, everything they do it at a high standard. And Kansas City is one of those teams. This franchise, this team, aspires to be one of those teams. Well, how do you get there? Well, in 2017, they went and practiced against the Patriots and saw it firsthand. I think that's the exact same thing that you have here, is you've got a young franchise, young team, that wants to be the team that does everything the right way. Well, you're going to see that when Andy Reid and the Chiefs are here on Saturday night.
You did a great job with that because I almost believed that a preseason game was a big deal there for a minute. But I get your point.
I categorized
if they can
it.
use that as a model. In terms of the actual game itself, I have a hard time swallowing that it's a big deal for the starters or for any sort of evaluation. The Chiefs being it isn't a big deal to me because I just feel like, you watch so many preseason games, there's not the intensity, there's not that Mahomes magic or whatever that is. It's a big deal for evaluation, but I'll give you credit. I'll give you the W.
I was qualifying
because
I heavily qualified it.
Boy, this is going to
I heavily qualified it. Again, that's me
It
looking.
is cool to see that up close for these teams.
Right.
And I agree with you. With the Patriots that year, it seemed to matter. They seemed to pick up something when they
They got off to a good start. They made the playoffs that year. I'm not saying that practicing against the Patriots did it. It's just you want your team to see how the best does it. And the Chiefs are the best.
You always get up a little bit more when you're playing the champs.
Yep.
So there's that. Brian, you should give the pregame speech, I think. Just get them motivated for it.
I
Don't
think
ask them twice.
Listen, I think most reaction, you're right about that. Talking is not my problem, stopping is. I think his reaction would be most of the players. They get it. It's a preseason game.
All right, we're talking about evaluation. Obviously, you're going to learn a lot about the players. Some of these rookies, it's their first, not some of the rookies, all the rookies, this is their first time playing in an NFL game. So when you go out there, is there a lot of pressure specifically on the rookies trying to figure things out, or is it more pressure for maybe a veteran player trying to make this squad? There's a lot of veterans that have come in that will make the squad, but maybe a lot of these offseason additions that we've been talking about, Mitch Morse, Gabe Davis, others that we think are immediately going to come in and have an impact. What's the pressure like that as well?
Yeah, I don't think it's pressure on guys like Morris and Davis. I think it's pressure on maybe a guy like Trey Flowers, down the roster a little bit. The veteran guy who is in here trying to be maybe either a fifth guy or a practice squad guy. But for the most part, those guys can also handle it. They've been around, they've been in that position, they've seen other guys do it. I'll answer it like this. The coaches do everything they can, I think, to ease the pressure on rookies. But there's pressure. I mean, I can remember, as iconic as Fred Taylor is, I can remember him telling me the first few games, he didn't think he was going to make the team. Yeah. And he was a first-round pick. Obviously, he was going to make the team. But when you're a rookie coming in and you're facing that for the first time, and then there's this reality of, this isn't college anymore. So, yeah, there's pressure. But I do think, Brian, from talking to most of these guys, as soon as the first couple of plays happen, it goes back to football, and these guys are high end. But there's pressure going in.
Right, and pressure isn't a bad thing because that's what you're going to face every Sunday, right? In the fourth quarter of a big game, Can you handle what you are seeing and feeling as you go through the course of it? There is some pressure, though, because you've got guys who are going to get limited reps. Right? Next week, a lot of reps are going to be spent on starting players. And then the week after that, you start giving more reps in practice to the veteran players who are going to make the team. So Saturday night is one really golden opportunity for a younger guy, a younger veteran, or a rookie to make the most and try to carve his space up that pseudo depth chart that Brian Nielsen talks about, but to make an impression on the coaches.
A depth chart that's made in sand, as
I loved
Ryan
it.
Nielsen
That was a
says.
great line.
So we'll see what that kind of ends up looking like at the end of the weekend. Coming up here on Jags AM, we'll take another live look at practice, and then we'll do some hot takes as well. See you back here.
We need to define a great deal in today's new home market because the so-called great deals that you find on every corner just aren't the same as the incredible opportunities you'll find with a new Dreamfinders home. How about 2.99% in year one in one of Dreamfinder's 15 communities across North Florida? Now that's a great deal. 2.99% interest rate in year one and a beautiful new Dreamfinders home. Visit dfhsalesevent.com for our largest savings of the year on move-in ready homes. That's dfhsalesevent.com.
You've got to watch your NFL team every Sunday, and Verizon's got you covered for all your team's out-of-market games every Sunday afternoon.
Come on!
From kickoff to sign-off, from first downs and touchdowns to turnovers and overturned plays.
After review, the pass was incomplete.
Nice! Let's go!
This season, win every Sunday with Verizon. Get a great deal on NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV and a new phone. Excludes digital-only games. Terms and embargoes apply.
To aim higher, run faster. It's what elite athletes do. Always strive for better. At UF Health, we have that same DNA. To not just treat a stroke, but to create a fleet of mobile stroke treatment units. To not just do research, but to use AI to save lives with one of the most powerful supercomputers in academia. We believe, like athletes, that human progress has no finish line. UF Health, National Medical Center for Team USA.
Are you ready for some football? Well, you are now, thanks to Ticketmaster. As the official ticket marketplace of the Jacksonville Jaguars and the NFL, Ticketmaster's got the best way to take it to the house when it comes to being there live. They're the safest and most convenient marketplace to score fully verified Jaguars tickets. And even if your plans get broken up or worse, turned over, Ticketmaster gives you more flexibility to sell your seats. So get those touchdown celebrations ready and score your tickets today at Ticketmaster.com/Jaguars. We're excited to announce a special activation at select training camps. Join us as we celebrate the Corner at Deb Store, coming soon to the Eastside community. Operated by Goodwill Industries of North Florida, the Deb Store will help change lives in the historic Out East through fresh foods, education, and career opportunities. In partnership with various community partners, this project will create a space where residents can thrive. Watch out for the Deb Store van at select training camps this July and August, where you can enjoy free samples and learn how to support this initiative.
Prosser here for Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. Football season finally upon us, and with that comes cooler weather. If you've been wanting to upgrade your outdoor living space, you should call the experts at Lifetime Enclosures now. From glass lanais to screened-in enclosures, Lifetime Enclosures and Flooring is the best in the business, so give them a call today. Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. Showroom just off Phillips Highway. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Jags fans are invited to the Firehouse Subs San Marco location at 1949 San Marco Boulevard in Jacksonville on Friday, August 9th from 3 to 4 for a very special event. You can meet current Jaguars players. Jackson DeVille, the Roar cheerleaders, will be there as well to kick off the 30th year of Jaguars football and Firehouse Subs in Jacksonville. We hope to see you there. Back out of practice today as they get ready for their first preseason game of the year on Saturday. So a little bit shorter, lighter practices the back half of this week, but we'll finally get to see them in game action, at least the starters for a little bit, and then some of the rookies, younger players that we haven't seen yet. So it's going to be exciting to see them out there and, of course, taking on the Chiefs as well. As we look forward, I think we're gonna do our hot takes right now, actually. So, Brian, do you remember what your hot take is?
I do.
All
I
right.
do. And it's young corners who are making plays, and there are 3 of them that in the last week have. Monteric Brown, who had a big play against Gabe Davis on Sunday down the sideline, really did a nice job against the big body to turn and break the ball up. Trey Prince, who has had a great day on Monday in practice, and Christian Braswell, who has had a really solid camp. It's important because we talked about needing depth in the secondary and playing this press man coverage. And I asked Ryan Nielsen during his news conference about an hour ago about these 3 guys, and his eyes lit up, and he's seen the exact same thing. He likes where they're at and what they're doing. Trey Prince, in particular, the rookie 5th-round draft pick, I really have been impressed with. He's got length, he's got speed, he's got an attitude. He's got a chip on his shoulder. He really wants to play well. So it's good to see those guys. It's important because you're not going to be able to go to free agency and just go pay the highest salary for a corner. You got that in Tyson Campbell now. And this team has, over the last 20 years, made up for their lack of depth or inability to develop talent in free agency. And Trent Baalke and I had a conversation on the practice field last week, and he knows that he's got to bring the talent in for these coaches who then have to coach their butts off and get these guys ready to play. And it sure looks like that's what's happening with Chris Richard in the secondary. These 3 young corners are playing well.
Yeah, they've invested a lot in it in terms of numbers, not necessarily in terms of high picks in these guys you're talking about, but I agree that's really important. It's a good sign too, Brian, that you've got 3 guys you're talking about, because they really don't need all 3 to be high end. They need a couple of those guys they can depend on, so their odds are good. And I agree, you like what you're seeing out of these guys. And I think with Braswell in particular, everybody talked during the draft, well, why don't they go after this guy? Why don't they take its position of weakness? They liked Christian Braswell a lot last year, and then he got hurt. So I think they were sort of playing the percentages a little bit. Hey, we have Christian there. We'll draft one more guy later in the draft in Prince, and then see our percentages of one of these guys developing. It's a good sign because you need numbers back there. And you also need those guys for teams. So
I was just about to say, that's the big thing on Saturday night is you got to see how these guys play on special teams, because that's where they're going to not only make the roster, Kai, but be active on game day.
Earn a jersey. You got to earn a jersey.
Got to earn it.
Kai.
It's one of my favorite position battles. I just want to say the secondary is definitely something we should keep an eye on. I'll kick it back to you, John. Though.
Well, kick it back to me. Good segue. You're a pro. I went with Cam Little, and it went against everything I believe in a little bit because here I am talking about how this kid has shined in training camp, how boys look great, and I know that it doesn't matter for kickers until the lights go on. It doesn't matter really until week 1 or sometime when you're kicking a game winner. But everything you see out of Cam Little is nothing's affected him so far. He knew coming in, he's 6th-round pick, or 6 or 7.
6.
Okay, yeah. So yes, he has the advantage coming in over Riley Patterson, but he still has to earn it. And he's gone out, and there really hasn't been any flubs. There hasn't been any day where he looked like a rookie who was, it was too big for him. And the leg, man. I mean, he's all indications right now is he looks like that guy who could be the kicker for a long time. Now, as soon as you say that about a kicker, the circuits go crazy.
Right.
But I'm very optimistic about this kid. It's very interesting to watch that they may have solved something that's been an issue for a few years.
So I'm convinced that he has a bionic, hip flexor or something. He was on the field last week, and they had that little, like tee that holds the ball up so they can kick field goals. And he was not stepping. He was just swinging his leg. He was plant foot and swinging his leg. And they started at 25 yards, and they got out to 45, 50 yards, and he's still booming the ball without taking a step. It's amazing to watch the leg. That is a God-given gift, and he knows how to use it. We'll see, again, when the lights are on and the pressure's there, but Doug was trying to get a little sense of that on the practice field on Saturday in the stadium, and stopped it, got the crowd going, and drilled it. I mean, it appears the kid is unflappable.
Well, we've all been around kickers a lot. Some guys just have the gene, the personality type to handle it and not have stuff worry. This kid's, again, it's so hard to predict with him, but this kid seems to have that, and the leg's unbelievable.
It
so
is.
fingers crossed.
Kicker's kind of like goalie in hockey. Like they're kind of out there, they're doing their own thing, but it works. Somehow it all comes together. And it's good we don't practice at Episcopal anymore, because I do think sometimes he would look like he was playing on the high school team, because he is still 20. So we do have to remember his birthday is coming up.
And his birthday is a week from Saturday.
All right.
Against the Buccaneers.
Celebrate against Tampa. So it'll be good to see. My hot take this week is a little bit, we've touched on this already, but I think we're going to learn pretty quickly on Saturday whether this offensive line has everything together. They didn't add a lot to it other than Mitch Morse. They re-signed Ezra Cleveland, who they traded for during the season, but a lot of what they said the issues were last season was injuries and not all playing together. So if they can get everybody healthy and play together, the thought process is that the offensive line is good enough. I think we're going to see this pretty early, whether they have the depth around them, because some of them are dealing with injuries already. As Anton Harrison goes into his second year, he's in concussion protocol. We're not sure if he's going to be playing, probably not this weekend. Ezra Cleveland has a heel injury that's limited him in practice as well. So we will see if they're going to be able to make this work, because injuries do happen and they're going to need somebody that can step in and play that role. Walker Little's looked great at both tackles. We know he's able to do that and step in and play, but is there anybody else? Cooper Hodges, you've mentioned before, he's hurt. He's working his way back from a back injury as well. So we're going to see some of these young guys and some of the big boys and see what they can do.
There aren't that many young interior offensive linemen. You see guys like, you see Keaton Sutherland there. He's a 6-year vet, right? Darrell Williams has been around here a couple of years. I guess you could throw Luke Fortner into the mix there, and maybe he plays better at guard than he did at center. I don't know, but you're relying on Tyler Shatley still, right? Who's a 10-year vet who said this is it for him. They're going to need some youth in the middle of that offensive line, because guys get hurt.
Yeah, the major storylines to me for camp for the line, I'm veering away from the interior a little bit. At some point, you want to see if Foster and Hodges can be those guys who've grown. You drafted them. You clearly love Hodges. Everybody who's talked to anybody around here knows they love him. Foster the same way. Those should be your guys that you're developing. By next year, with Cam and Walker both in their last year, by the end of this year, you want to be walking around here with people whispering to you, hey, it looks like Javon Foster's can be the swing tackle. Like, you want to start hearing those things. Other guys could knock him off that track, but those are the guys you're looking at.
I watched practice with Tony Pacelli on Monday, and he was, for what it's worth, impressed with Foster. Says that kid's got a chance because he's got good feet.
That's someone you want to co-sign.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good endorsement right there.
He was impressed with his feet.
Very good. Stay with us here on Jags AM. We'll be back after the break to discuss what's coming up before the preseason game.
Navigating the current housing market and figuring out your best move when it comes to a mortgage isn't your full-time job, but it's one of the biggest decisions you'll ever make. That's where the experts at Jet Home Loans get into the game and coach you to your ultimate goal of getting not just the right loan, but the perfect loan for you, the home of your dreams. Jet Home Loans works with you all the way, from application to closing, making sure your game plan is perfect. Make the call to Jet Home Loans and let their team join your team to make your dreams take flight. Visit jethl.com.
We're excited to announce a special activation at select training camps. Join us as we celebrate the Corner at Deb Store, coming soon to the Eastside community. Operated by Goodwill Industries of North Florida, the Deb Store will help change lives in the historic Out East through fresh foods, education, and career opportunities. In partnership with various community partners, this project will create a space where residents can thrive. Watch out for the Deb Store van at select training camps this July and August, where you can enjoy free samples and learn how to support this initiative. Are you ready for some football? Well, you are now, thanks to Ticketmaster. As the official ticket marketplace of the Jacksonville Jaguars and the NFL, Ticketmaster's got the best way to take it to the house when it comes to being there live. They're the safest and most convenient marketplace to score fully verified Jaguars tickets. And even if your plans get broken up or worse, turned over, Ticketmaster gives you more flexibility to sell your seats. So get those touchdown celebrations ready and score your tickets today at Ticketmaster.com/Jaguars.
You've got to watch your NFL team every Sunday, and Verizon's got you covered for all your team's out-of-market games every Sunday afternoon.
Come on!
From kickoff to sign-off, from first downs and touchdowns
That's right.
to turnovers
No!
and overturned plays.
After review, the pass was incomplete.
Nice! Let's go!
This season, win every Sunday with Verizon. Get a great deal on NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV and a new phone. Excludes digital-only games. Terms and embargoes apply.
Calling all junior fire chiefs. Parents, register for your child to win the ultimate Jaguars game day experience. Sponsored by Firehouse Subs, cheering on the Jags from the Firehouse Subs fire truck at Everbank Stadium, flashing the fire truck lights when the Jags score. As honorary junior fire chief of the game, your child will receive a Firehouse Subs gift, and the whole family will receive 4 tickets and a parking pass to a home game this season. Visit Jaguars.com/sweepstakes to enter to win today. See website for terms and conditions.
To aim higher, run faster. It's what elite athletes do. Always strive for better. At UF Health, we have that same DNA. To not just treat a stroke, but to create a fleet of mobile stroke treatment units. To not just do research, but to use AI to save lives with one of the most powerful supercomputers in academia. We believe, like athletes, that human progress has no finish line. UF Health, National Medical Center for Team USA.
Jags fans, if you want customized Jaguars furniture for your home, check out zipchair.com to browse all customizable options. Zipchair is furniture for fans. Don't forget Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Jacksonville Jaguars and the NFL.
It's them becoming a pro and what it means to be a pro, how to take care of their bodies, what it means to get rest at night, what it means to hydrate or eat, study when they're tired, you know, and that's all that's the process that they have to learn, because it's probably more of that mental grind, especially when your body gets tired. They wear down mentally a little bit, and the ones that can really stay mentally strong really find a way to kind of push through it.
Head coach Doug Peterson talking a little bit about what we've been talking about today and kind of learning to be a pro, right? Grinding through. No one wants to be out there in full pads practicing in 90-degree heat, but somehow they find a way. John, what are we going to learn about them in this first preseason game, maybe from the rookies we haven't seen so far?
Probably for the rookies, just a feel. I don't even know if we'll see it, but they'll get a feel for the speed of the game, the power, the change. Like we talked about earlier, I think what the rookies learn more than anything is, that thing the veterans are talking about, about the speed, that's real. So it gives them a little bit of an idea of, okay, now when I first play in the regular season, I've got to be ready for something different. I've got to be ready for a different level of intensity. And for some rookies, frankly, you hope not the first 4 or 5 guys drafted. For some rookies, they figure out, this isn't something that I'm going to be able to do. But that won't be something they say. But there are rookies that figure that out of, okay, well, I need to start brushing up the resume.
I'd like to learn that the offensive line is ready to be more efficient on 3rd down and short. Right?
That would
that's
be
been the
nice.
drum I've been hitting.
I'll
But
allow it.
as John pointed out, we probably won't know that until the regular season. I think what we're going to learn is that Ryan Nielsen and his coaching staff have taken a system and implemented it pretty quickly because it's not all that complex, right? And they play with great speed and great energy, and I think we're going to see the difference that a coaching staff can make, because this defense on Monday, but throughout camp, have really looked like they're ready to go.
I'll agree with Brian again, which is a record.
I know.
We're having
Please,
a
you can write this
day.
date down.
But that's exactly, I mean, what you want in the first quarter, after the first quarter, is to be walking around the press box saying, well, these guys played fast.
Yeah.
And does that necessarily translate to the regular season? I don't know. But you don't want to not be feeling that, because if you're not playing fast right now, you sort of wonder when they're going to play fast.
Be a lot to talk about. We're going to go over it a little bit more tomorrow on Jags AM then. Until then, we will see you then.